There seems to be a lot riding on Oddworld Soulstorm. This entry marks a continuation of the story started in Oddworld New N while reimagining the 1998 classic Abe's Odyssey. With the series that started on PlayStation, it only seems fitting to see Soulstorm launch exclusively on PS4 and PS5 as far as consoles go, while being this month's PlayStation Plus game. Let's see how well Oddworld stacks up on next generation hardware. If you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, maybe hit the bell icon, and share the video with your friends if you find the video useful. Now let's get into this review, starting with story. Oddworld Soulstorm takes place shortly after the events of Oddworld New N. Abe, along with the 300 fellow Mudokons he rescued, now reside in the valley just outside of his old workplace. Despite being free, there's still a lot to do, including rescuing more Mudokons and starting an uprising against the corporate machine that enslaved his people in the first place. Meanwhile, the Gluckons retaliate with the Soulstorm Brew, a drink that keeps the Mudokons in an obedient state. All in all, it's a wild story of the people against the corporate overlords told through a sci-fi vignette. While its writing hasn't been significantly improved over its predecessors, the animation and cutscenes it's told through are phenomenal. Abe has never looked this good and thus has never been this charming. For anyone that's played an Oddworld game before, Soulstorm will feel familiar for better and for worse. For those who haven't played an Oddworld game before, it's a stealth-based puzzle platformer that requires an immense amount of patience. Previously, that was because the controls were clunky and Abe himself controlled in a very rigid manner. All of that is still true, but with some quality of life improvements to make things slightly more bearable. A new double jump makes platforming around objects a lot more forgiving compared to its predecessors. While yes, you still need to perform precise jumps, you're given a bit more breathing room to land those jumps now. But as much help as it was dwindled by rigid controls. Jumps are still awkward to judge, and it's hard to get Abe to fall down a corridor without getting him to grab onto every single edge around him. So frequently I found myself in moments where I was trying to drop down to a lower level, just to avoid enemies, only to grab a ledge and get caught. These moments were incredibly frustrating, and it felt like the game was trying to help myself, but ultimately just ruined it in the process. I'm completely fine calling myself out if I make a mistake in a game, but I found myself calling out this game's controls and enemy AI just as often. There were moments where the AI just straight up stopped moving in their usual routine, forcing me to get caught or die in order to restore a checkpoint. Which, by the way, these checkpoint placements are so weird. They are placed right before a stealth session but after when new items come into play. Frequently when I died, which was a ton, I'd have to go back just before the stealth section where I'd have to keep collecting a bunch of items to be able to solve said puzzle. To go around this, I'd go and collect the items and then go back to the previous checkpoint just to make sure I would respawn with the correct items already. It's not all bad though. Soulstorm introduces a lot of great and interesting features. Crafting for one is a fascinating feature that isn't amazing in this game, but it does introduce room for improvement in future games. In Soulstorm, missions push you to collect multiple items in order to craft together key items. It's used as a great Metroidvania tactic to explore more of the world around you. While that's nice, it also comes at the cost of occasionally coming off as artificial padding. The level areas are much wider and expansive. They truly feel like this extraordinarily designed landscape that shines marvelously in Oddworld's classic 2.5D visual design. In conjunction with Abe's new and old moves, solving these new puzzles was a lot of fun, when the controls weren't fighting me over the course of the 18 to 20 hour campaign. Perhaps one of the first things that stood out to me with Soulstorm was just the immense scale of the world. Soulstorm is bigger, grander, and just jaw-dropping in comparison to the rest of the series. Walking through the 2.5D levels felt like exploring a wide open wonderland. No matter where I was, there was always something interesting happening both in the foreground and in the background. To put it lightly, Oddworld makes me wish that more 2D platformers took this route with their visuals. I'm looking at you, New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. Even more impressive are the cutscenes in Soulstorm that look like they came out of an animated film. It's just as astonishing to see what came previously to what we're seeing now, like comparing the Ratchet & Clank remake to its original counterpart. The difference is night and day. In terms of performance, Oddworld Soulstorm is available on PS4, PS4 Pro, and PS5. Sorry I didn't get to test a PC copy for this review. On the PS4, you can expect a 1080p 30 frames per second target that occasionally dips down to the low 20 frames per second. That's improved on the PS4 Pro, which also has a 1080p 30 frames per second target, but at a more stable frame rate. Lastly, there's the PS5 that runs at 1440p while rendering the UI at native 4K. On PS5, the game runs at 60 frames per second, and for the most part, it's able to maintain it outside of the checkpoint areas. It's interesting to see that this is only hitting 1440p. It does feature improved lighting and shadows over the PS4, though at 60 frames per second, it seems to be pushing the PS5 quite a bit. Oddworld Soulstorm features an ominous and dark sounding soundtrack that almost made me think the series was going down a horror game path when I first heard it. While yes, this isn't necessarily the happiest of circumstances for game lore, the lighter upbeat moments with characters were quite a juxtaposition. I love me some 9 Inch Nails music, but I don't know if that vibe is all that fitting to this game. Nevertheless, I did enjoy the performance work here. The cast more than delivers on performing the funny goofball moments as much as they were capable of capturing the somber, more heartfelt moments as well. In combination with the new high-quality cutscenes, Oddworld has never felt so cinematic. Oddworld Soulstorm introduces a handful of improvements that ultimately make the Oddworld formula better. However, upon finishing Soulstorm, I think I realized that while these additions are nice, there are more fundamental problems with the core mechanics of the series that just feel dated on modern platforms. Double jumping is nice, but these controls just feel dated and rigid. I'd rather have smoother and responsive controls over a double jump. Little moments like these kept me from truly being able to enjoy Soulstorm for what it was. And ultimately, what should have been a renaissance for the series was just okay to me. Thanks so much for watching this review. It was a bit of a bummer that I wasn't too into this game. I'm honestly just waiting for a reason to play my PS5 at this point. In comparison to my Switch and Series X, it's sort of just collecting dust at the moment. Are you going to give Oddworld a shot? Let me know what you think of it in the comments down below. Anyway, I gotta get back to some more indie game reviews, but I'll see you in the comments down below or over on the Discord server.